my heart will go on and on.
I've been paying insurance for all these years. It's insurance fraud. I did not see that one.
I know Taffy sent me 3. He goes,
Yo,
this one I haven't sent to Ant if you want to use it.
that is so freaking amazing. Holy cow. We talked about that on Locals, though. That's not for the YouTube audience.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be like, what are they talking about?
So for anybody that doesn't know, my boat needs a new motor. And we were talking on Locals the other night about how the temptation to commit insurance fraud is there, but obviously I would never do that. And that's the joke Taffy's making fun of.
Well, and
me
it's a callback to like 3 years ago when we did that conspiracy show, and one of the conspiracies we talked
was
about
the Titanic.
was how the Titanic was for insurance fraud.
It was insurance fraud. And not just that, like I know people have done this bit because I've seen it a bunch of times, but the modern, like, this isn't original, obviously, but like the modern understanding of women's like romantic movie, it's like Rose in Titanic was the worst human being to ever live. Like
second worst. The worst
Jenny,
is
right?
Jenny from
Forrest Gump. It's like those two are the most evil women on the planet, and they're seen as like the heroines of the film. It's like Rose had a really good man who loved her. She cheats on him with a guy she met on some poor from the bottom of the boat. She meets one day after she's already sleeping with him. She has the Hope Diamond or something, and she could leave it behind to her grandkids and children so that they don't have to worry about money for the rest of their lives. But no, at the end of the movie, she throws it off the side of the boat and it sinks to the bottom of the ocean, and nobody ever knows where it is. Like, she's the most evil freaking woman in history. And then Jenny from Forrest Gump, like that vile girl. What she did to Forrest, leading him on his entire life. Then she comes back, sleeps with him, has his kid, gets AIDS, and then dumps the kid off and dies on him. Like, it's just the things that women find romantic are just beyond normal. Like, I don't know how you even put modern women into it.
The Titanic lady was the very first boomer.
The first boomer, just throwing her children's inheritance right off the side of the boat.
All in memory of some stupid poor Patty.
What?
That's the worst part. He was Irish.
Some bum she met, and like has an affair, and then she winds up marrying the guy that she cheated on, and she tells her kids like she never really loved their father. Like, what an evil woman. Jenny and Rose program modern women. Yeah, it's not even a stretch. Like, every single rom-com is about a woman who's in a stable, healthy relationship and cheats,
looks for every way to throw it away,
throws it away and cheats. And that's romance for women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's just makes no sense. Like The Notebook, every single rom-com is like that. And her vision of heaven is with the guy she cheated with and not the father of her child. Yeah, it's like vile stuff. And it has programmed women. Like, it has, because that stuff has a psychological effect on you when you watch it. It's crazy.
It's gotta be one reason why so many women in their, when they hit their 30s or whatever, they
sleep with their 15-year-old students.
I mean, that's not where I was going with it.
Okay. No, this is a freaking epidemic right now. Did you see the Catholic school counselor that just was weeping in court? She just got sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Is it for real?
Like, no. Right, oh my gosh.
I mean, I haven't seen anything.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, there was a woman who was a counselor at a Jesuit high school, and she was 42 years old. Her student was 16, and she started a romantic relationship with him. When he wanted to get out, she threatened to kill herself. The kid finally came out. Now, okay, so I used to have a different perspective on this stuff and my perspective has changed. I'm not going to get into why. People that are locals members understand why, but I used to have a more. My opinion of it used to be like, oh, it's not. The guy isn't a victim in it, things like that. But the more I see how predatory these women are, like the more disgusted I am by it. And like this woman is disgusting. She threw away. She has children, like teenage children that she like. Think about the reputation damage and like how embarrassed her kids are. Like the thought of consequences and what you're going to do to the people around you didn't even enter this woman's mind. She ruined her entire family, all for what? To get a little attention from a young guy. Like they're psychotic, some of these women.
That's a fact.
I saw it was all over the news. I saw. Oh, you're talking about Iran.
I don't see anything on Middle East Spectator about it either. So
yeah, let's see with that. Okay, so real quick, let's do Recusant because if we don't do it, Requisite, we'll do Recusant before we get sidetracked. Recusant sellers, they are the greatest sponsor in the history of sponsors because they sponsor us. Go to recusantsellers.com, use code BASED at checkout for 10% off, and you can select through an assortment of different kinds of wine. They have fresh fruit from their farm.
Mm-hmm.
They are amazing, and I think it is very important that we support Catholic businesses. I don't think they advertise with anybody but us. Like
we are their very first sponsorship.
Yeah, so if you guys want to help support the show, show them that you support us by supporting them. Go get yourself 10% off. Father's Day is coming up.
Support them to show them that you support us.
Okay. Yeah, well, we want to keep them as a sponsor because you guys won't join locals and nobody super chats on this channel. So if you guys want to get something for your money, you can help us by keeping a sponsor because you guys are all cheap and none of you super chat except for Bobby.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby.
And Alex. Right? Yeah. Right? Alex?
Yeah, Andy Malone.
Andy Malone, not Alex. Alex Malone. I always get Andy and Alex mixed up because they have the same last name. Andy Malone and Bobby are two greatest supporters, and Mimi. So yes, go over to recusantsellers.com, use code BASED at checkout for 10% off. We got a bunch of stuff we could cover tonight.
African boatman calling us cheap.
Don says, I've been throwing $5 a month away since you guys started on locals. Listen,
time to throw $10 a month away then, Don.
All streams are now Ant complaining about his boat and asking his viewers for money. That is not actually the case. It was the last stream because my boat broke, and I tell you guys what's going on in my personal life.
First off, anyone who's watched the channel knows that every stream from June through about mid-September is complaining about the boat. Okay? It really is.
And then December to like March is usually snowboarding stories. I got like 2 or 3 tricks, guys. Once you hear one show, you've seen them all. At this point, I'm doing this to annoy Grover.
Probably worth the money, honestly.
Grover never throws super chats up. He's cheap too.
Actually, if he doesn't, it's because every time he does, I never put him up.
Well, they're usually a bit much.
Right. That's why I can't do it, Grover.
His super chats are usually a bit much. I need the apocalypse to happen so I can never hear about this boat again, and Anthony can focus on manifesting revelation.
Just like you manifested Leo the 14th.
I will say this. Oh, Taffy thrown out. All right, let's go for the boat fund. Rob's boat fund. He deserves one.
I almost bought a canoe this year.
That would probably be fun. The outer boundaries of the boundary waters.
Yeah.
I will say this. I did come on this show.
Everyone is saying this.
Yeah, I mean, probably. We'll try to check the news for that. I did come on this show about a month or 2 ago saying the end of the world is coming and that everything I thought about Trump is nonsense. And I just see, I don't know. I had this, I just thought everything with Russia and Ukraine is going to escalate, which it has. War with Iran is coming. And I said, before Trump's term is up, the world will be at war. On top of that, we have these phony riots going on in America. Like these CIA nonsense riots. I think I did send the video
Yeah, you did.
of Mike Benz. So CIA handbook on how to turn protests to riots. Play that clip real quick. It's only a minute.
Once again, you've sent 30 things to go through in 2 hours.
But I told Rob before the show started, I'm like, I'm not like I have had a hard time paying attention to secular news lately. Like everything just seems fake to me.
Yeah, I just don't honestly care about it.
Everything just seems so fake and kayfabe to me that I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. LA's burning, good. Burn the whole damn city down. Like New York's burning, burn the whole city down. I don't care at all. It's all just fake. They're trying to me, it all well, let's play this clip first, and then I'll tell you what I think.
1983 to train CIA operatives in the field on how to organize riots in foreign countries. And here's a tab on using agitators, including hiring professional criminals to manipulate mass meetings and assemblies of people in person, which can result in general violence. And you will see that they advocate for general violence, where the CIA tells the case officers, our psychological war team must develop in advance a hostile mental attitude among the target groups so that at the given moment, they can turn their anger into violence, demanding the rights taken away by the regime. So make these ethnic minority groups so mad at their government in a general sense that whenever we snap the trigger at the given moment, they will turn that general anger into physical violence against the state that we want to overthrow. But this is a CIA guy.
I mean, this is clearly what's happening. So like these used to be foreign playbooks, and now they're just turning them on us. Like they did. This is what all of the USAID money was. This was what all that was. Like every time you thought you saw USAID happening, aid money going to these other countries, it wasn't.
I mean,
actually,
that's a small part of it.
USAID is a small part of it. So Trump comes in and he cuts off all the USAID money, and everybody's like, yeah, we're finally defeating the deep state. We haven't defeated anything. Like you see the war with Russia and Ukraine continuing along the same exact trajectory, because it doesn't matter what, even if Trump actually does want to end that conflict, it doesn't matter. There are so many different pieces in place pushing that escalation that it's just going to continue on the path it's on. What's happening in America with these riots seems like it was just coordinated from early on. Before Trump was elected, we started hearing news drops. Like in the news, you started hearing, well, you know, Trump, when he's getting rid of the criminals, you know, people will be all on board. But are you going to be okay with Trump just going and getting these poor farmers? And it's the exact rhetoric that you're hearing now. So these protests are not organic. None of it is. This is all CIA-backed funding to get these protests organized. Then they get a couple of agitators in there. They lay a pallet of bricks here, a pallet of bricks there. And all of this is for, in my opinion, it's because they're trying to manufacture consent on something. So you're already seeing people like Laura Loomer come out and saying, we need Palantir to go in and do a database and figure out who these people are. And it's like,
it actually makes me really consider Trump not being controlled opposition, but that they actually wanted him in order to, because they know how divisive he is, how just, you know, prone to.
Rob, you think about how fast things escalated in his first term.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like really think about how fast things escalated under his first term. Like that was when the mask dropped on the media and everybody was like, holy cow, I can't believe it. Like when Trump is in, they get to hit the gas because, oh, we have to oppose Trump. So they actually get to push their agenda faster and harder when Trump is in, because it looks like it's just opposition to Trump.
Can someone just put a link?
Put a link in.
Put a link in there. Come on,
yeah,
guys.
like show us. And
No, it's
that's-
not going to end
that's-
live on EB because you guys aren't giving us a link. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is like,
I'm seeing on
Obviously, they don't-
disclosed
they don't-
TV, Justin, Israel attacks Iran, explosions in Tehran, but that's just disclosed TV.
well, that's a pretty. They usually don't put things out that are wrong.
I'm seeing it. Yeah. Spectator Index breaking: Israel is striking targets inside Iran.
Israel declared a state of emergency 12 minutes ago.
This is Israel. Nick Fuentes says Israel is officially attacking Iran. They are trying to drag the United States into yet another one of their wars. Never forget who is responsible, because he's right. This is
Yeah.
all of this is just it is just us doing the bidding of Israel in the Middle East. It always
Today-
has been.
I saw a headline from an Israeli newspaper from 1980. Do you know what the headline was?
No.
Iran months away from nuclear weapon.
Gosh, dude, the same narrative has been going on for 50
1980.
years. 45 years we've been hearing about Iran's. They're 5 years away from a nuclear weapon. We've been here like my entire life. I remember hearing about this. I mean, I mean, you put up today about the Iraq war.
Yeah.
But bring that tweet up, because I actually want to ask you about that, because that was such
I'm not joking when I say it's a core memory of mine.
yeah, bring that up, because that's an interesting one, because this was right after 9/11, and I remember sitting in my parents' den. I was 03. I was 21.
I was 15.
So you were 15. I was
Yep.
21. 21. I'm sitting in my parents' den, and me and my dad were just sitting on the couch watching this. And I was like, I had like bloodlust. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
let's kill the brown
I
people.
remember watching CNN for days prior, waiting for it to start. And I remember when this popped up on TV. Like this.
Beneath all of this, emergency teams raced across.
So let's not play too long, because I don't want to get copyright or anything. But
Yeah.
that moment, it was asked. Go ahead.
I can picture that in my head, like on command. You know, that exact video.
It's one of those things of, oh, where were you when that
Yeah.
happened, kind of thing. Like, I was sitting in the den with my dad, and we were just watching the TV. It was the first time like war was broadcast in that
Mhm.
way.
Because even Afghanistan, like Afghanistan started a lot smaller, right? It started
Mhm.
with special ops team taking like the Kandahar airport, and parachuters, parajumping in, stuff like that. Whereas those were the literal first seconds of the war in Iraq, and it was broadcasted live on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nuts. But because it was so close to 9/11, the whole country wanted blood and retribution
Mhm.
for 2,500 Americans being
Yep.
killed.
And this
2,800
was
Americans.
what, a year and a half after the fact. This was March of 03.
hmm
So yeah, 18 months later.
18 months later, we knew that Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11, but we didn't care. Like, we just didn't care. We were like, I don't care. Just go bomb the Middle East. Like, just
Mhm.
anyone over there.
Yeah,
Just
so
drop
Matt is
bombs
right
over
here.
there. They presented us with the weapons of mass destruction nonsense. They did like
The
all of
sarin
that.
shells, all of it. Yeah.
Then it was the American troops. I remember the videos of the American troops coming in and the Iraqis waving American flags. They were so happy to see us. They were so
Mhm.
happy to see us.
Remember the purple fingers from voting?
No, I don't remember that, but
Yeah.
I remember Baghdad Bob.
I had a deck of cards. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The deck of cards
do.
with all the faces on it. I
Of all-
played. I learned how to play poker with a deck of cards with Iraqi military faces
Terrorists.
on it.
Yeah, that whole period was just wild. Like, holy cow, man! You
It is crazy.
you think about how hard we fell for propaganda back then.
Those 9/11 and Afghanistan and Iraq, it made me want to join the military. I mean, it's
Yeah,
I spent all of junior high and high school trying to get into the Air Force Academy at West Point and stuff. I mean that, yeah. I thought
it's
that was
what
going to
made
be
me
my
start
life.
paying attention to politics, and then I start listening to Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, and I'm just
Chemical
going along
Ali,
with the
remember that?
Chemical Ali.
Uday and what was the other one's name? The son. Uday and
Oh, well, it's Saddam Hussein's kids.
yeah.
Oh man, I forgot them.
Kusei? Is it Uday and Kusei?
Something. Those kids. It's his sons were
They
more
they were
evil than him.
Yes. Yeah, they were.
Like beyond evil. Those kids.
Well, I mean, I guess I just always bought the story that they were.
Yeah. No, they were. Those.
I do think they really were, yeah.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, I'm
But
not going to say Saddam was a good guy.
Yeah. Look,
I don't buy that.
no, but you think about how many Iraqi Christian, like the Christian presence in the Middle East was very big back then. Like all of this stuff just wiped Christianity out from the Middle East. Like it didn't wipe Islam out; it wiped Christianity out. So you have to think really hard about what Israel's actual intent is in all of this.
Israel and their evangelical puppets. I mean, think about that. Think how many apostolic Christians have been killed in the Middle East due to
Talking
U.S.
about the birthplace of Christianity. You're talking about where Christianity, the road to Damascus, where Paul has his conversion, is in Syria.
Yeah,
right. And you think about what we just did in Syria.
Yeah.
You think about what we just did in Syria. We just overthrew who the hell's in Syria? Was it Assad? Bashar al-Assad? Yeah, overthrew Assad. Oh, he's so evil. We got to get him out. We literally put in somebody who we called a terrorist 6 months ago. Now is he renames it with like the Democratic something, and they go throughout Syria murdering Christians. It is so vile what they're doing, and all of this is just at the behest of Israel. And to think that Israel isn't behind the riots in America also, and even the freaking the internet outages, like it's all them. Like,
even if they're like, even if they're not like directly behind it, like they're, if Iran was behind it, well, yeah, that's still because of Israel. You know what I mean?
But I don't think it is. I think the stuff that is going on in America right now, I think, like, first off, it's just also fake, and I can't bring myself to even care about politics anymore when I don't believe any of it. Like, I don't know what's real. I don't know what I don't care anymore. Like they have
no.
Israel just claimed the strikes on Iran were coordinated. Of course they were,
and I'm sure they were.
Well, you have Trump getting everybody out of the embassies. You have Trump getting everybody non-essential personnel
to be fair,
out.
That's just prudent. If he knew Israel was going to do it.
But if he knows Israel's going to do it, that means Israel's doing it in coordination with our intelligence.
Not always. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think it is the case, yeah.
We're getting it from Twitter. Twitter is actually the best place for news.
It is.
It is by far the best place for news. Like it's not even close. You get things as they're happening.
Yeah, Israeli media N12 says the operation in Iran is in coordination with the U.S.
All of this. So, like when we had
Tomorrow's Friday the 13th.
When we had Maudsley on, it's interesting because it's so crazy how my position has like been evolving on this issue, because we've like I never even cared about this topic ever, And then I started just seeing weird things happening. And then I just started paying attention to Maudsley. And when we had Father Maudsley on, because before he came on, I would have probably taken the position that Israel has like a natural right to exist. You know, they don't have a divine right. I never would have taken that position. I always understood the enmity between the older brother in scripture. So like that. And what's funny is I actually got that from Scott Hahn. Like, it's not, you know, so like the fact that those guys are kind of silent on this is what irks me, because all of my biblical understanding, like my theological understanding of the story of Cain and Abel, and seeing how even when Jesus is talking to the prodigal son, when Jesus is telling the story of the prodigal son, the older brother represents Israel and the younger brother represents the Gentiles. Like, all of these stories are symbolic in explaining how the people of the old covenant, they reject the new covenant, and God. So it's not, the covenant doesn't go to the firstborn. It goes to the secondborn. Like, it goes to the Gentiles. All of that, and my understanding of that, comes from the St. Paul Center for Biblical Theology, like listening to Scott Hahn's talks. And then to see those guys not speak on this issue is actually heartbreaking. So I would have held the position that, oh, Israel has like a natural right to the land. But I didn't understand it the way I do now until I spoke with Maudsley, and understanding it as, no, actually the modern state of Israel is the kingdom of Satan getting his foothold in the world. And it has a lot to do with the beast that was, is no longer, and then returns in the apocalypse. It's like Rome was the beast that was and is no longer, and then returns in the final time, in the end times. And understanding that Israel is the one coordinating this. Like, Israel is the return of Rome. So
that's
like
that's what the Father saw.
It has a lot to do with America too, because Israel is using America as like a puppet to do its bidding. But to not see it as that, I don't know how to not see it as that. You know, it's just
it just like how the Jews, after the diaspora, after the sacking of the temple in Jerusalem, you know, they used Imperial Rome to attack Christians.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones that were spreading the rumors of cannibalism and things like that to get, you know,
Rob, they're
Diocletian
behind,
and such to
look, if you guys go and read the Jewish Revolutionary Spirit, like they are behind every major revolution, and all of them are to undermine Christendom. So that even the Protestant Reformation, things like that, they're all behind all of that because they hate Christendom. We are the younger brother who says that the covenant now rests with us, and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has chosen us. We are now the chosen people. So that has been going on for thousands of years. And they're finally in a position where they've basically neutered Christendom, because people don't even understand this anymore, to the point where you have Catholics and Protestants being Zionists. It is the most preposterous position to take as a Catholic, to be a Zionist. It is just insane. And all of the things that we're seeing, in my opinion, I mean, even when you look at everything Trump is doing, it's just like, he's just their puppet. It's just enraging, man. It's like, I don't know. So I have a choice. Like, do you sit there and you harp on this stuff? Because there's two things that happen to you when you do this. You see, it happens with everybody. It's like, you either become the guy who sees that the people of the old covenant behind everything, or you just say, okay, I have to make sure I don't fall victim to the traps they've set.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't get yourself into debt by paying for a boat motor you can't afford. Don't
get addicted to pornography.
Like those are two very, very important ones.
Stay away from, honestly, just popular media in general.
Yeah.
Movies, music, TV, you know, All of it.
It's so difficult because it's everywhere. It's saturated into our culture. Feminism is that it's just everywhere. So it's like we have to, like usury is the craziest one, man.
Which is so hard in modern life.
So hard because the way they've set it up, it's like
how like I rent right now, right?
mhm.
How could I ever buy a house without usury?
So okay, but usury, if you get
A mortgage
usury
is
is
usury.
you
A mortgage is usury.
you think so? Because it's
Yes.
only if you could get a loan at 4%, that's kind of keeping with inflation. Like if something keeps with inflation, that's not usury.
I don't think
Usury
there's
is the
any-
20%
dude.
credit card.
I don't think there's any mortgage right now for 4%, man.
Not right now.
I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of grandfathered in. I don't know, but if you could get a mortgage at 4%, that's not technically usury.
Yeah,
Like-
it technically is.
Well, no,
Usury
because
is making interest, man.
yes, but inflation does go up. So,
Sure, but
anything
it-
that's kind of keeping in line with inflation, I don't think is considered usury. Usury is like if you have a credit card or a car loan, something like that, that's charging 17%, 20%, like that is legit
Yeah.
usury. But I don't know if a mortgage is indentured servitude, not because of the loan, because of house prices. Because I don't think 4%, if they're 6.5%, 7%, that's now you're getting into usury territory. That's where I'm at. I have 4.25%. And I don't think that's technically usury. Like I think if
It
something's
would have been.
keeping-
It would have been up until like the 19th century. The church would have definitely considered that usury.
Yeah, but
So
but
how about
now,
so if I say I were to buy $150,000 house, which in our area is average or above average, even actually
Mhm.
at 4% over a 30-year mortgage for a $150,000 house, the bank is getting $257,000. They're making
Yeah.
$107,000.
But you're paying it over 30 years, and inflation is going up through that time.
Not almost double.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not at all at it. I'm trying to find the actual definition of usury. I think because I'm going based on E. Michael Jones. That's where I got this from. I'm not just spewing things off my top of my head. Like I've heard E. Michael Jones speak on usury, and you'll never find anybody more critical of it than him. And his position was if you have a mortgage with an interest rate of under 4%, that's not usury, that's keeping with inflation. So if you're keeping with inflation, that's okay, because people can't loan you money and lose money.
So
So
you have
somebody
to understand inflation itself.
is part of
purposeful.
the Jewish banking system,
Yes,
but it is what it is.
true.
So somebody lends you 157,000, like they can't lose money on that loan. And if they lend you 157,000, you pay that over 30 years. They need to make their 3% to keep up with inflation. Otherwise, they will lose money on it. Next time, look at your mortgage payment. What percent goes to principal?
Yeah, they take
collect
that
that.
interest
Oh, yeah,
immediately.
that is the issue, right? So they get their interest up front. So if you have a
Mhm.
30-year mortgage, your best bet is to pay an extra 100 or 200 every month to try and knock that principal balance down way quicker. They hate that. I'm just trying to be like actually like correct on this issue. I'm not. But yeah, you can't. Rob, the median home price on Long Island now, $700,000.
That's crazy.
That's the median home price on Long Island is $700,000. That is insane. Like, do
That's a
you
lot.
know what you get for $700,000 on Long Island? It's like a small ranch, a 1-story ranch. It's nothing
Yeah, I think
with no backyard.
I think the house we're in now would probably sell for 130, and it's 2,500 square feet.
Yeah. Yeah. See, now, yeah, I think you can beat the system if you put if you put 30% down, 40% down, and then you,
Mhm.
like I said, you make an extra $200-300 a month on top of your mortgage payment to kill that principal balance down. Like you have to do what you can to avoid paying exorbitant amounts of interest. But it's just, for like my son to buy a home on Long Island, I don't know how that's going to happen. My son's not going to be able to live on Long Island and own a home. Like, it's not even attainable for kids growing up here. It's not even attainable. I don't know. So we're going to get Theo Howard on from the Two Cities podcast. And he did an episode recently on the way of Little Christendom. But a majority of that episode is talking about the banking system and how, like, everything is already on a trajectory to crumble. It just is. Everything's going to crumble. So what we have to do is start to build during this time.
Yeah.
And find ways to build during this time. So when the infrastructure crumbles, we have something there to sustain us. Yeah, dude, Taffy's an attorney, and home ownership anywhere near his family is impossible. So, I mean, yeah, it just is. So, now what we were looking to do was kind of discuss how does Pope Leo, as an American, because he has to be paying attention to what's going on here, right? Like, he's an American and he's seeing these riots pop off in America, and he's seeing America now starting to go to war with Iran. Like, how is that going to interplay an American Pope with the American crisis that's going on? And I don't know. I don't know, because this papacy has seemed to me thus far to be a bit boring. And I'm not saying, and I'm not, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like,
no, it's not.
It's better than what we had, but he's just, it seems like he's trying to play it so safe on everything that, we were talking about personnel issues. Like, okay, so maybe we'll start getting some answers through the personnel decisions. But then I saw today that he decided to go with,
Tuco.
He decided to go with Tuco Fernandez as the head of the
DDF
congregation. Yeah, the DDF, the dicastery for divine for
Dicastry, as Mark
the
Robinson would call
dicastery
it.
for the doctrine of the faith. DDF. I can't. The CDF is so much better. Why did Francis change all those dicasteries?
I don't know.
Let's play the Michael Haynes tweet I put. It's basically just Father Murray. He was on with Conor Gallagher talking about Fernandez. And I don't know, this isn't confirmed yet. It hasn't been a public announcement by the Vatican, but there was a lot of rumors going around that Pope Leo met with Tuco Fernandez today and confirmed him to continue at the DDF as the head of the DDF. And he said to him, "Can I count on you?" And Tuco said, "Yes, you can count on me." And he chose him to stay on at that position, which is devastating. Like, I was really hoping Leo was going to bring
Sarah back.
Yeah, like, and bring Cardinal Burke in and bring, like, that's what we were hoping for. But I don't know if that's going to happen, and it's like the as safe as Leo's playing it, he also seems to still be trying to justify the entire Francis papacy with the things that he's doing. So let's play the Father Murray clip.
Cardinal Fernandez, who was Pope
CDF.
Francis, he's the CDF, and he was his close ally, ghostwriter.
Yeah.
My opinion, shouldn't be in the job. I don't think he's qualified, and I don't think he's done a good job. So maybe he'll go. We don't know.
I think that's a really important one to watch. I mean, the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, right? Now, this is what Ratzinger had, and I think that's when he got well known. And then Cardinal Mueller was in there for a while.
He was there for 5 years.
And then at the time, Bishop Fernandez went in, and then I guess he was made a cardinal.
That's correct.
All right. So this is the guy who wrote the famous book, Heal Me With Your Mouth, The Art of Kissing in 1995.
Yeah.
What the hell's that about?
This is a question that's going to be looked at historians. Why did Pope Francis surround himself with people who are manifestly unsuited to the position they had? Catholic priest writing a book on kissing as some kind of spiritual, mystical way of looking at life. No. Put that in the garbage. Get yourself a real interest that's according to what the bishop and a priest supposed to do. No, Cardinal Fernandez is unsuited to the job, and I hope that he loses the job because I don't think he's done a good job there at all. But on the other hand, he did a good job for Pope Francis because Pope Francis put him there and kept him there.
Yeah,
so
right.
this will be a sea change. Either we get a new approach or more of the same.
And Cardinal Fernandez really comes up. Was he in the conclave then? He would have been a voting Cardinal.
Sure.
But he would have.
I mean, we could cut it. It's just
I think he wrote.
It's just super.
You hearing thunder?
No.
I couldn't tell if it was in the clip or if I was hearing it outside.
Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but it's just I'm looking for these little things from Pope Leo because he's doing a lot of gestures to make us think he's, he brought what was it?
The
He brought
Rupnik stuff.
Yeah, we hope that it was his decision to get the Rupnik stuff off the Vatican. And then he also returned the practice of placing the pallium on the new bishops and like he's trying to bring
appointed a Chinese bishop before consulting China.
An underground bishop too.
Yeah.
So, but they did approve it.
Yes.
It's just hard to get a read on him. And I want to get some substance from him. It's better to have a boring papacy than what we went through, but at the same time, some things need to be done, and I'm hoping to get those from him. I'm hoping the signals we got in Charlotte with Bishop Martin backing off a little bit are, a signal for the liturgy. I mean, it's just such an easy one. Right, just rescind Traditionis. Like, it's just such an easy one. Like, everybody will be happy. There's nobody that wants Traditionis except for like vile people. like only if you wanted Traditionis, you're a vile person. I'm sorry. Like you're
If you think in any way it was justified, go kick rocks.
Yeah, I just think it was just a disgusting move to make. And I it's like if you were somebody who like reveled in that and were happy about that, like, because it's not just about liturgy. It's about these communities that were formed, and a parish is a family. So you had these parishes that formed, were together for years, and people driving from pretty far distances to make those communities work. They were very close, tight-knit communities, and then they just get shattered because the bishop says, yeah, we're going to get rid of this. We're no longer going to make the request to Rome. And it's not just about the liturgy. It's about the family that was built there. And it's like, for all the talk of fraternity and all this stuff, it's like you are, I don't know. It's one of those things that just like, I think it's like sociopathic for somebody to cheer that on. I really do. It's like a sociopathy to cheer something like that on, because
I mean, we were just talking about like the bloodlust and wanting to cheer on the shock and awe. Like it's more
similar to that. Yeah,
very
so
similar.
maybe we were being a bit sociopath, but we were also brainwashed. Like, but before shock and awe happens, right? Like we were fed all this propaganda and we were brainwashed. So is that the same thing that's happening to people who cheered on Traditionis? Like it depends what news sources you're reading. It depends the circles you run in, but they're being told trads are trying to undermine the church and trads are so when they see Traditionis comes down, they're happy because they think that's actually like, I don't know, man. I think our biggest issue that we're facing in the church is people making caricatures of the other side, and you don't see them. You just see them as a caricature of this villain you've made in your head. So that's how they see us. And they, like, I've seen how Mike Lewis and the Where Peter Is crowd speaks about trads. They think all trads are this caricature they've invented in their head that just are like, they think they're evil. It's so bizarre to me. Like the people that I know at these traditional parishes are like, they're just trying to live their Catholic faith out. They're just trying to raise their children to get to heaven. It's like, I know all the men that go there, and they have a ton of kids, and they're just like, I just want to get my kids to heaven. Like that's like the main purpose of what they're doing at these things, and they're viewed as evil by people who don't share the same ideology. Now, look, I do make like jokes teasing about the Novus Ordo, but I also know there are plenty of Novus Ordo communities that are very similar to what I'm talking about. Like they're just a very tight-knit community. They're a family, and they're doing their best to get their children to heaven. So this isn't a Novus Ordo traditional liturgy thing. It's more about the parish community being a family and having that family being broken up and torn apart. Like you I think you and I, because of our experiences, we also have a caricature of the Novus Ordo in our head.
It's not a caricature if it's accurate.
No, but
I mean, I have more experience with the Novus Ordo than most of the people who defend the Novus Ordo.
yeah.
You know, I have a more varied, well-rounded, probably, you know, closer to the truth experience than your person who has a unicorn Novus Ordo and defends all Novus Ordo.
Yeah, but that's right. So we've spoken about that before. Like if you have a traditional Novus Ordo, like
which is a contradiction in terms.
Yeah, it's like to act like they all are like that. It is kind of a contradiction in terms, though. But to act like they're all like that and defend them all as if that's the norm is a weird thing to do. But like my post the other day about mass attire, right? So like a Novus Ordo liturgy, because this is actually true. If the few times I have attended the Novus Ordo, I do not wear the same clothes I would wear to a traditional liturgy. Like I will wear jeans and t-shirt to a Novus Ordo because I don't want to stand out. My kids will not wear they will not wear the dress they wear to the tradition. Like I probably would now. I'm talking because it's been a while since I've been to a Novus Ordo, but like, so now like I probably would just to like if I'm going to the Holy Sacrifice, you act a certain way. But I'm just saying like the liturgy itself actually conditions you to wear clothes that are less like not less modest. They're like it's just so casual. The liturgy itself is so casual.
Yes, the liturgy itself. You're right. 100%.
It's just very casual, right? Like so you're going in and there are people in flip-flops and there are people in their sweatpants, people that just rolled out of bed and they went right to mass in the morning. And now like if you're going to
the priestly vestments itself
are
the priest isn't wearing a maniple, right?
Yeah.
It's doesn't have the beretta, you know, everything is just so ordered and almost militaristic, right? In the TLM, where it is just so formal. It makes you want to be a part of that, right? Because you're following your priest, you're following the lead. Whereas the Novus Ordo is a casual dinner at Olive Garden. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's also look, there's something to social pressure too. Like, do you remember when Jordan Peterson caught a bunch of crap for saying he said like something about something about monogamy, like social pressure for monogamy, and people interpreted it as him saying like arranged marriages and forced marriage. He was talking about how like shaming people who are sleeping around is what he was saying, like social pressure to like shame people who are sleeping around. Like, so it's kind of like a forced social monogamy where like you praise the people who have monogamous relationships and those relationships last and marriages last, you lift those up, and the people who don't do that, you kind of shame them. And it's the same thing with the liturgy and dress.
That's what we should do with everything.
So when we spoke with Nancy Charles talked about her first time going into a Latin mass. She was dressed because Nancy Charles was on the verge of becoming trans, right? So she was almost wearing like boys' clothes, like she was wearing like, you know, shorts and a t-shirt, and she was dressed very in like male attire. And when she went there, she kind of like felt awkward being there, right? Because everybody else there was dressed really nice. So her second time going, she was dressed more appropriately when she went. Now, when you go to a Novus Ordo, if you're dressed very nicely, you kind of stand out because everybody else is dressed down and casual.
Yeah, but see, I'm as wrong as it might be to dress down to fit in. I go the opposite direction.
Well,
And
yeah,
I do things specifically to.
you do the Tolkien thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
100%.
understand that. That's why I said if I went now, I would probably handle it differently. I'm trying to think of how I had always gone, before recent times. Like it's just you would purposely try to fit in because you like it's just the way it is. But
no, I understand. Yeah.
so but when you go to a traditional liturgy, everyone there is dressed up, so you'd feel like an idiot being in sweatpants
Mm-hmm.
or jeans and a hoodie. Like you just kind of feel silly. But man, all right. So before we get off of here, there was a couple things I wanted to touch on. Wait. Oh,
What
we're gonna stay on here a little longer. We have a guest coming.
is the guest going to be a little late?
He's about 15 minutes out. So we're going to stay
Okay.
on here. We have a surprise guest coming on, guys. You guys want to stick around for this one. So hang on, let me just say. All right, so we got a couple of things.
Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham tweeted, "Game on, pray for Israel."
Of course he did.
Unbelievable.
You want to play the Brooklyn protester to I don't know. I feel like we kind of played that topic out. I don't even care anymore. Bishop in Charlotte, Martin, who banned the Latin Mass, brings in Father Casey into his diocese. We could do that.
There's the
You want to do my tweet, the Brian Holdsworth, Steve Skojec argument? Let's do that. That's actually a really good one. Let's go with that. So I tweeted out, there was a guy who had a fight with a chick. Well, a chick stepped to a guy. It was my tweet. I put, I wouldn't do that. I don't think I would have hit the woman. That's my tweet. Okay. So I tweeted something out, and Brian Holdsworth and Steve Skojec are kind of like going at it a little bit over it. So I sent my tweet, but like go up to show the video first. Let's show the video, and I want to hear your opinion.
There's
on
nothing
this.
I love more than the Anthony's Twitter review show.
Well, the video itself is a good subject starter. I want to see if you think this guy went too far.
I've already seen it.
All right. Well, you gotta play it on
It's
air,
a video from like
I know.
10 years ago.
Just play it. We're gonna play it for the audience.
I'm trying to find it. Is it before or after the Carnival Cruise tweet?
No, I sent the tweet to the thing. Just click on that and then scroll up. Like go to your messages. It says, I don't think I would have hit the woman because that's
You
just
sent
me.
30 things through the
Just
messages.
the one I'm telling you to do.
I'm
I know
trying
I
to
sent a lot
find
of
it.
stuff. I send a lot of stuff because I need to have options. I
I
don't
know,
know
but
where the
I'm trying-
conversation's gonna go.
You always want to use the worst possible way.
I'm gonna bring it up. Do you need me to do it? Because I could do this. You got it? All right, you got it. Because you're way better at this than me. I don't want to start bringing videos up.
I wish Israel bombed you. Sorry. I don't mean that, Israel. Don't bomb 'em.
They might, yeah. All right, so let's see. There's a guy and a gal are having an argument, and she hits him, and he reacts. All right, but keep it on because watch her. Look at her drama. Look at this drama queen pretending she got hurt worse than she did.
Oh, and I'm pretty sure she's on drugs or like she's intoxicated somehow.
I
guarantee
just
it.
think I think she's milking it. I don't believe her. All right, so go down to Brian Holdsworth. So I said, did he go too far? Brian Holdsworth said, yes, justice demands only a proportional response. He's much stronger than her. Further, charity demands us to go further than the dictates of justice. To love even our enemies. If it were me, I would avoid first or neutralize at most.
Brian,
Steve
you're
Skorjak.
Canadian. If it was you, you would let us invade. Yeah, never mind. Never mind.
No, so I actually understand his point, right? So if a woman was doing that to me, I personally might not react the way that guy did. Like, I don't think I would have knocked a woman out.
Well, he didn't. He
pushed
pushed her away. That's all. He's not to blame for her flying back 5 feet.
I agree with you. So like my point is, I may not have personally done what he did. I still don't think I would ever put my hands on a woman. I just don't think I would. But I don't know. Like, if a woman's hits you in the face as a stranger, like, who are you? Like,
there's so many
doing?
situations. Like, I don't know. You know, it depends. Are my kids right there behind me? Well, in that case, I'm sorry. That woman's getting more than a push.
Yeah. So I personally don't know if I would put my hands on a woman. I would have to be pushed very far to put my hands on a woman. I just would. Like, I've never hit a woman in my entire life. I just don't see something like that happening. But at the same time, I have absolutely no pity for this woman. I don't feel bad for her. I don't have any empathy for her. And I think this man was justified in what he did.
Like, is she intoxicated? Well, then once again, I'm probably doing more than pushing her, because she's not capable of rational or reasonable thought. So
yeah,
in that case, oh gosh, I almost said something very bad. Like, you are obviously still dealing with a human being, but you're not dealing with the human being that is capable of acting like a human being. You know what I mean? Like, you're almost dealing with the wild animal at that point.
Oh my gosh. So wait, let's go through. So Brian Holdsworth then says, all right, so Steve Skojek says BS. BS to Brian's tweet.
Twitter threads. So
and then Brian says, well, it's interesting because Brian's perspective. It's not my perspective. That's why. If a 10-year-old hit you, would you knock them out and feel justified in doing it? I sure hope not. That's because you're way stronger and shouldn't feel so threatened by someone who isn't a danger to you that you need to return shot for shot with your full strength.
Okay, but by pushing her away, are you, especially if she's intoxicated, are you preventing her from doing something that is going to force you to do even more? You know what I mean?
You're going to make me defend Brian's position here.
No.
You know that's what you're about to do.
Okay. Oh, do you want me to take Brian's position?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm going to have to defend Brian's position here.
Well, I know, because our bid is to always
yes, we can't agree.
So which position do you want? I'll take the other one.
No, I'm taking Brian's position. So,
well, you're stupid.
All right. The question of deserve is a question of justice. What is owed? He hit her way harder than she hit him, and is and in a way more vulnerable spot. A, he's stronger, and B, he knows where to hit. The proof is in the fact that he's still standing and she's knocked out. It's not proportional. I don't think she's knocked out. Brian, I can't take your
okay, but here, like, define proportional. She used probably 80% of her strength. He used 10% of his. If anything, it was a disproportional response on his part in the opposite direction.
I'm trying to, yeah, dude, because if that was a man, I'd have knocked his teeth out. Like, if it was a man, a fist would have went right through his teeth.
Yeah, and I actually disagree with that. Like, if a man is pushing me, like, I'll push back. You know what I mean? Like that's
no, like you said, if my family's there, dude.
Yeah, it depends on so much. Where are we? Who's with me?
Yeah.
Are they intoxicated? You know what? Like, are they with a group of people?
I was out at a restaurant, and I was out with another couple and my wife, and there was a group of 10 guys. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe there was like 6 guys that were out at this same place. And this guy kept staring at my wife, looking at my wife, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. You know, he's looking at my wife. He then pulled on her scarf. Like, my wife had a scarf on, and he pulled on my wife's scarf. I don't think I've ever snapped like this in my life. Like
I think
I
you've told me the
grabbed
story.
I grabbed this kid and threw him into the wall so hard, and I scared the ever living crap out of him. And then, like, for good measure, we went and sat down at the table, and I was just so heated about it. Like, I wanted to hit this kid so bad. And I saw him and all his friends outside smoking a cigarette, like 6 of them.
Mm.
And I went outside to smoke a cigarette just to look at the kid. Like, I wanted him to start a fight with me. So, like, if it's a man, it's a very different situation for me. But I think my tolerance level for a woman pestering me would be infinitely higher. Like, if a woman even gets in my face and starts hitting me, like, I don't think I would hit. Like, I would just be like, get away from me, you annoying thing. Like, just get away from me. Like, I might raise my voice, and I might just be like, I'm gonna I'll
It would take
clench my teeth, but I don't.
It would take a lot for me to hit. Like, I think pushing her away, swiping her feet out from under her, like getting to a point where she has to stop. Right? Well, no,
Sweep her feet out from under.
have you ever done it to a woman? It's so easy. They're like so naturally off.
Yeah, they're
balance.
just so uncoordinated.
They really are.
It says, you're Italian. You're used to spicy women. I don't know. It's so somebody said I don't think Brian Holdsworth's ever been in a fight. Rob's doing a triangle joke.
Go to sleep. Okay, guys, this is an hour old at this point.
Axios is reporting Israel just launched an airstrike against Iran. May God have mercy on our souls. Yeah, I think this is going to escalate. Like, I don't think this is going to be like Iraq.
What do you mean? We were in Iraq for 10 years.
I think this spreads wider.
Okay.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying like this is not going to be a 20-year war. I think this spreads wider, and I think it spreads rapidly.
Okay, but where does it spread to? Because, like, Iran doesn't have a ton of allies in the Middle East. Like, they hate Saudi Arabia. Syria's out of the game at this point, you know. So, I mean, you have Hezbollah in Lebanon and stuff, but, like, it depends. Depends, like, what Russia does. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I think we'll be at war with Russia soon.
It's looking more and more likely.
I just think we'll be at war with Russia soon. I think we'll be at war with Russia and China. Like, I think it's going to be
China.
I think it's going to be a world war, and you're going to see.
Okay, but why? Like, why? Why? What causes this to escalate into that?
I just think evil spirits are upon the earth at this point. Like, I really do think Christendom is done, and I think the demons have been released from the abyss, and I think there's just violence on its way, and I don't know. Now, I thought our guest Voice of Reason was coming on.
Voice of Reason.
Voice of Reason is supposed to. Where's Voice of Reason? Hold on. Where's Voice of Reason?
Paul's and one Deus Ex Machina on us, basically.
Wait, what happened? What did he say? Ant went Deus Machina on us. No, I do think. I think Francis is the star who fell from heaven and opened the key to the abyss in the apocalypse. That is what I think. I think Francis was the high churchman, because a star from heaven is symbolic of a high churchman, like a very high bishop who fell from heaven and opened the key to the bottomless pit. Like, if you read Apocalypse 9, it talks about that. And what bishop has the keys to the bottomless pit? And I think that was Francis. And I think his papacy released demons upon the earth. And I think what we're dealing with now is demonic influence upon the nations, like throughout all of the world. I think that there is demonic influence throughout the world.
I like Mrs. Homemaker has a point here. You just did a show with Majorian talking about
You
dating.
yeah, but look, I may like think that, but I don't know that. It's
You
a
you also
it's a
think
theory.
it, but you also don't prepare for it. So do you really?
No, I am
think it?
preparing for it though.
Yeah, you're
I'm
getting
not
your
leaving-
boat fixed.
Yeah, dude, I have to. I need my boat to escape New York. What do you mean?
Do you know how many ghost guns you could have bought off Franz for $20K?
I have my bug out plan. I downloaded my freaking maps. I know how to get to your damn house. All right. I'm coming to you. Wait, your mom's here.
Yeah, good. You can. My mom's got extra room for you guys.
Laura, I cannot wait to meet you at the baptism. I'm so excited.
I can wait.
I cannot wait to meet your mom, Rob. Do you think this will further Our Lady of Fatima? Yes, I think that Malachi Martin spoke about salvation coming from the East and Russia playing a very big part in the fulfillment of Fatima. We are going to interview an author who wrote a book on Malachi Martin, so that will be an interesting topic to get into with him. Oh, sorry, God. If Iran wants to retaliate, they'll need to use other countries' airspace. Those countries are the first place it will spread. The
Iraq
region
and
will pick
Jordan.
sides quickly if it starts spiraling. Oh, Voice of Reason's here. All right, guys.
So
Alex.
are you gonna apologize to him for what you said about?
No. We'll get into this. Alex.
Uh-oh. What? Did somebody say something about me or?
Alex.
I mean, I like jokes. I make jokes all the time, but I mean, jokes are one thing, but I mean, if you're talking crap, then I don't know.
So here's the thing. I might owe you an apology. Like,
Okay.
so you went on with George Janko recently, and
Yeah, it's my boy.
yeah, I came down pretty hard. Like you did that episode, and I came out pretty hard. I was like, you know, because I don't understand why you seem to like the Protestants better than some Catholics, and I don't get it. What's going on with that?
Well, I mean, it's not that I like them better, but I mean, until Catholics start having bigger platforms that I could, go on the podcast. I mean, right now, Georgienko, I mean, not for nothing, but Georgienko, he's really killing it in the views. And, you can't hear the voice if you don't have the views. So
At least he's not a schismatic heretic like the SSPX, right?
that's right. No, absolutely. Because the SSPX, they're schismatic heretics. And because they are, then that means that that's what they are.
So I do have a question, Alex. Who is your favorite non-Catholic supposed saint? Is it Photius or is it Palamas?
Well, Photius did a lot of good things. Blessed Photius did a lot of great things. And but I mean, if they were here today and either one of them had a big, like a big podcast, I'd probably have to really look at the analytics. But hey, I noticed you called me Voice of Reason. Listen, you're my boy, both of you guys my boys. You could just call me Voice. We're on a first name basis, so you could even call me V.
V.
The thing is, I honestly, now that you and I have mended our divide, because it was really upsetting to me because I was pretty harsh on you in that video, and that it wasn't right. So I do owe you an apology, and I'm sorry that I came down and I had Ruslan in that chat, and he gave me a fraternal correction, and I right away I felt bad. So
absolutely, Ruslan's my boy. Shout out to Ruslan.
Yes, and
he has a huge channel, dude. I don't even know what I'm doing on here. I mean, your views are pretty good, but I gotta say, it's not like I have a podcast next week. I'm doing Sam Harris's podcast, and then who's that other atheist guy? And they're my boys.
So wait, so here's what I'm getting at, because you got your beginnings with Michael Lofton. You guys did a lot of rap videos together. Like, you guys are from the hood. Like, do you think you could mend the fence between Michael and I? Because I think it's time, like, that we bury the hatchet and maybe move on from this whole drama, because me and Michael, we have a lot of tension between us, but you seem to be in tight with him. You think maybe you could mend the fence between me and Michael?
Well, I don't want to make promises, but I will say, the spirit of forgiveness is something that we all, as Christians, especially non-denominational, those are my boys, that, and and the song is really good, and I like songs, and if songs are good, it makes me want to put both of my hands up and sway, and but that's besides the point. Like, we're about forgiveness, and so I really think that the path to forgiveness, because you're both Christian, is probably very likely. But that being said, because it's you, probably not.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Michael will ever forgive me. All right, so before we head over to locals, does anybody in the chat have any questions for Alex?
We have a couple things here. So first off, one of your Orthodox co-religionist, Voice of Reason, says here that Michael Lofton is his favorite rapper. Do you prefer Michael Lofton or Father David Michael Moses?
You know what? I gotta say, Christian Mario, I know he was just messing around and doing a parody, but I think Christian Mario did Lofton better than Lofton. And the fact that he's not Catholic actually makes me like him a lot better. Speaking of not Catholic and speaking of Orthodox, my Orthodox brothers, shout out. I saw a comment here about the Ubi Petrus debate. And because I saw a comment about the Ubi Petrus debate, then I want to say something about it. And because I want to say something about it, the thing I'm going to say is that technically, I mean, a lot of people say it's subjective, like whether you move the audience to your position or not. And the goal really isn't to move the other person, and I understand that. But because I understand that, I would say that he drank more sips of water than I did. And when he did his rebuttal, his mouth was dry and made that clicky sound about 7 times. And so mine made it probably 2 to be conservative. And so I think that's a clear win. It's a clear W. Shout out to my boy.
Yeah, I thought I'll tell you this. Okay, so you I think when you debated James White, that was my favorite debate you ever did.
Shout out to James White.
Yeah, James, me too. I'm going to shout out James White. James White put us on the map. He did an entire sermon on one of my tweets one time. So, but you did a debate with him that was actually really, really good, and it taught me some ways to discuss purgatory that I had never thought of. So I was very grateful for that. But I think you bombed in the Ubi Petrus debate. I got to be honest.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. But yet again, if you look at the amount of water bottles that Ubi crushed, I mean, that's a W right there. That means you're nervous. That means you're sweating. That means you're losing. And that means I won.
But
I think you're right.
He ended more hydrated. Isn't that a win?
Yeah. No, I think Alex is right. If you drank more water, you were more nervous. And Alex is right.
He delayed the meet and greet afterwards because he had to go to the bathroom. So,
okay, but would you have drank more requisite wine than he would have?
Requisite wine, if they had a good promo code, then yeah, I would.
like based, for instance.
Yeah, if it was promo code based for, I don't know, what would that give me?
10% off.
10% off.
Oh yeah, then I would buy it. I would just want to pronounce a little differently.
Such as
recusant.
Recusant. All right, the big question everybody wants to know: war on beauty or religious hippie?
Oh, that's tough. And because that's tough, then I'm thinking. And because I'm thinking, that means is I forgot both names that you gave me the option for. So the one with the beauty is the one I remember the most.
All right.
So I would say beauty.
Yeah, war on beauty. We're all team war on beauty over here. So, all right, listen, guys.
We got one more. Someone paid $10.
If you guys don't put a super chat in, we're ending this. So if you want to get a question in, it's got to be a super chat. Do you think we are heading into World War III?
Well, because it's possibly a war, and because it's a war and the 3, that's a number, right? And
And
so
it's in the
if we
world.
and it is of the world, and because of it's of this world, that it's essentially a secular issue. It's a temporal issue, and because it's a temporal issue, then just like my debate with Uwe Petrus, you could base it on temporal things like drinking water versus the spiritual nature of who won, and information. So because of that, I would say, yeah, it is. And also, I saw another comment here about Catholic Palooza, and
Oh, that's right. Okay. So, all right. So I have to
before we go to
say,
locals, because I want the biggest platform possible.
yes, absolutely. So, last year I had this opportunity to go to this festival in New Jersey, Catholic Palooza. I was fortunate enough. I had Enoch stay at my house, and he came. And him and I both drove to New Jersey, and we got to go. It was an amazing festival. Enoch performed. I think he's performing again this year. There's a great band playing there. What's the name of that band, Alex?
I think the band that you mentioned that will be at Catholic Palooza that is going to play music, I think they would be called Hallowed, Hallowed. And because it's Hallowed, that means that's a word, right? And so we can Google that word, and you can go to hallowedbeats.com or hallowedmusic.com. They just came out with a new album, man. Shout out to Hallowed. And they also are putting together and are going to be performing, and I think Enoch is too, and his boy, the music.
So let me ask you something. Do you have any beef with the guy Alex from Hallowed because he stole your band name for his app?
Oh, no, there's no beef there. I mean, does he go to Novus Ordo, or does he
Yeah,
is he a schismatic that goes to a TLM?
I think he goes to the TLM. He might be a schismatic. I think you're right.
Man, that's crazy. He should do a very, like a normal, regular rite, like Jimmy Aiken with I think he has a Star Trekian rite of Catholicism, where you could believe in aliens. It's pretty.
All right. So
pretty awesome.
when is Catholic Palooza?
Oh man, when isn't it? I think it's August.
He thinks this is called unprepared to plug your gig.
Oh no,
Coming from you, really, Anthony?
well, I gotta say, I mean, listen, you're my Catholic brothers, but I will say that George Janko and Ruslan, they would not have this problem because their producers reach out to you, and when they reach out to you, they ask you for information, and information like Catholic Palooza is going to be in Rutherford, New Jersey. I forgot to be clicking my mouth as much, but I'm going to start doing it. So it's August 16th, and it's hallowedmusic.com, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be real cool. There's going to be a lot of
Wait a minute.
Catholic
Did you take
people.
a shot at me there?
Yes, because the producer didn't call him and get the information to plug it beforehand. So, all right. So Catholic Palooza is August 16th in Rutherford, New Jersey. If anybody's in the area, I went last year. I had a really good time. It's going to be a lot of Catholic content creators there, a lot of Catholic music creators there. Last year I went, I got to meet Ryan Katsu Rivera. He used to be Gavin McInnes's producer, and now he works for Sam Hyde.
Yeah,
So that was
cool
a really
and
fun
come on
time.
our show too.
Yeah, he used to be cool. He used to come on our show.
Now we get Alex voice of reason.
Now, yeah. So, if you guys
V,
are,
you can call me Voice. You can call me Voice.
V,
Yeah,
sorry.
I heard Voice of Reason might make an appearance there. So if you guys want to meet Alex from Alex Voice of Reason, he might be performing a rap song while he's there.
Yeah.
Wait. Says the guy who forgets to do his only sponsors and read. So Rutherford, New Jersey, August 16th. If Hope doesn't have the baby on her due date, there's a possibility I might go as well. It is a
Right,
fun
right.
time. It's like there's like 4 different stages. There's always a music act going on, and then the rest of the time everybody's just kind of hanging out. You get to meet other Catholics and stuff. So if you guys are in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, it's a quick ride out of New York City. If you guys can grab tickets, August 16th. We are going to head over to Locals, and we will help you. We will help promote that as the weeks go on. Alex, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it. CatholicPalooza.com, by the way. What's up? Oh yeah, you could bring your kids too. It's very kid friendly. There's there's different rooms for different performances. There's
unlike the Latin
stuff.
Mass, kids are welcome.
Yeah, kids are. I mean, you do have to keep them quiet though. I mean, that is true.
The last time,
There's a cry room.
Yeah, the last time we went, I met Ryan Katsu Rivera's wife and well, I met them before that, but I hung out with Ryan's daughter, and I gave her like a little thing while I was there. And then when I saw her at Mass the next time, she was still carrying that little thing. And
bracelet. It was cool.
Yeah, I gave her a little bracelet, and I miss his kids. So we'll have to talk on the we'll talk on Locals, Alex. Alex, thank you so much for coming on here, man. I'm glad you and I were able to mend our beef. This is always good to have Catholics.
There definitely will not be more beef after this. That's for
no,
sure.
definitely not. I bet
No.
Alex and I are going to be
We are
after this one.
100% cool and super duper better than before.
Super duper
way
better.
better.
Love
All
it,
right,
yeah.
guys, we're gonna go over to Locals. If you want to hear the rest of the Voice of Reason interview, we're gonna do it over on the other side. So, Rob, take us out, brother.
Oh, okay. I'm preparing something for over there. Give me a minute.
Give him a second,
Wait,
dude.
do the Taffy intro.
I was given. Yes.
Yes.
something.
We have a show. Stay on, Alex. We have an intro for the next one that we're going into.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a minute here.
Rob's got it. He's a little slow, but he's got it.
Well,
By the way, Anthony, if this was a debate, you would have lost because your set usually has a blue light. And because you forego your blue light, the LEDs, no, it's too late. You lost, man.
And I took a lot of sips of my drink during this conversation. I will say that.
okay.
That's true.
Okay, we're switching over now. Give me a minute here.
Wait, you should play it for the YouTube side, Rob.
Play
Play the outro for YouTube as we leave.
I don't know if Taffy said probably keep that one on Locals.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Locals only. If you guys are on YouTube, you're gonna miss out on this amazing little
Would not be happening on the Impulsive podcast, by the way.
I'm gonna slap you.
George Janko would never do this.
By the way, avoidingbabylon.locals.com if you're not already subscribed.
Ruslan.net.
Ruslan.net.
Ruslan.net.